Good afternoon. The Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sport is extremely proud of its role in ensuring that our culture and heritage is preserved and promoted, providing support for our young people, and nurturing and guiding the next generation of elite athletes. We recognize the fiscal challenges that have been caused by the pandemic. Like other ministries, we've had to ensure that there was prudent allocation of funds for a variety of services. But I can assure the people of Bermuda that our ministry remains committed to ensuring that its continued focus is on supporting those critical programs which contribute to the enrichment and betterment of our people. It's important to note that our budget allocations are designed to help facilitate the pledges that we made in the government's throne speech. Additionally, our budget funds will assist in Bermuda's economic recovery as we focus our attention on moving beyond the pandemic. With that, I wish to provide a brief overview of some of the areas my ministry will focus on in this upcoming fiscal year. The Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sports budget for the year is around $12.8 million. This represents a small decrease of 0.5% from the prior year's original budget. It isn't higher than the revised budget of 2022-2021, as the ministry was able to achieve significant budget savings this year. Due to the reduced activity as a result of the pandemic restrictions which prevented certain events from taking place last year. Turning to the Department of Culture, we continue our commitment of supporting and celebrating our creatives, our artists, and our cultural institutions. And today, I am very pleased to use this opportunity to formally announce that this year's Heritage Month theme is Togetherness. We choose this theme because despite the challenges that we've faced since the pandemic, the truth is that we as a community, we rely and depend upon one another. Our Heritage Month theme gives us an opportunity and the community to think about what binds us together. How do we pull together during times of adversity, tragedy, or need? More importantly, how do we celebrate and support one another? And what value do we place on what we can accomplish together as a country? In addition, the announcement of the Heritage Day Month theme, I'm equally pleased to share that a 2-year absence, our signature annual event, the Bermuda Day Parade, will return on Friday, May 27th, 2022. Bermuda can expect to see the signature floats, drum bands, majorettes, dance groups, music trucks, and of course our celebrated gumbays, which are synonymous with this annual event. We're currently working on the logistics and planning, and we will be sharing more details in the due course. I want to encourage all of those who wish to participate in the parade to start getting ready right now. It will be a celebration that we hope will inspire all of Bermuda to join in. Our budget allocations will go towards supporting the planning of Bermuda Day Parade and Heritage Month activities, as well as a number of other events under the Department of Culture's umbrella. These include increased funds and grants for the Bermuda Arts Council recipients, the continued hosting of monthly Creative Lives events to support our musical artists, the Bermudian Heartbeat series featuring topics that include the Cottage Hospital, climate change, railroad trails, and more, our emancipation commemorations, and a new initiative called Gold Bermudians. Following Flora Duffy's Olympic success, the department will create a series of short profile films to highlight the accomplishments of Bermudians who have performed extraordinarily well on the international stage. Turning to the Department of Youth, Sport, and Recreation, our ministry values the importance of sport in Bermuda, and we continue to explore avenues that will promote Bermuda as a sporting destination. We're excited to support the organizers of the Sail GP, the Bermuda Triangle Cup football competition, and the Carifta Triathlon and Aquathon 2022. The hosting of these major events in Bermuda this year will assist in bringing much-needed revenue to our island, enabling our athletes to gain invaluable international competition and experience. As the public can appreciate, Flora Duffy's success highlights the need for more financial investment in our elite athletes so they can be prepared for competition on internationally stage. During the upcoming fiscal year, we have reallocated resources to allow for an increase of 21,000 to further assist our elite athletes. Given the challenging fiscal environment, we are pleased to be able to allocate more funds to this important government priority. Our budget allocations will also go towards supporting other youth and sport activities such as Daniel Sports Awards, which will be live for the first time in 2 years, with 37 recipients this year. This awards will be held on Saturday, March 12th, 2022. Sports investment funding for elite and junior athletes for our national sport governing bodies. Developing a new national sports policy to create an environment supporting consistent excellence in sport and underscoring the central role of sport in our society, and enhance programs in our well-established and popular after-school summer day camp, island camping programs that are much appreciated by the public. In closing, quite simply, as I indicated at the outset of my remarks, my ministry intends to continue to develop and celebrate our people through a variety of cultural, creative, and youth-focused initiatives. And we will continue to dedicate our efforts to sports development by supporting elite athletes, our national sporting bodies, and youth organizations. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am pleased today to provide an overview of the budget for 2022-23 for the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors. For the budget year of 22-23, the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors can announce that we have seen a slight increase in our budget from $24.2 million to $24.59 million. When looking at the third sector, we recognize the need to assist social programs where there is growing need and therefore require appropriate funds. These areas include Age Concern at $25,000, Women's Resource Center, $75,000, Center Against Abuse, $150,000, Vision Bermuda, $15,000, Tomorrow's Voices, $13,000, Nursing and Residential Homes, $1,945,000, Meals on Wheels, $50,000, Salvation Army, $550,000, Home, $20,000. Other key areas within our ministry include the Gender Affairs Council and a parenting campaign, Children in Care Advisory Panel, Litigation Guardian Framework and Training. Social protection systems must come to the fore. There is an urgent need to enhance the gender responsiveness, social protection systems, care systems, and family-friendly policies. Redefining the provision of supported services in light of limited resources will be critical in this upcoming year. Several grants were provided that were in line with the premise to ensure that we spread the support as many as we could. These grants are a social investment to help to alleviate some of the effects of poverty, homelessness, child abuse and neglect, elder care. Grants are provided to rest homes, to the chronic underfunding of community mental health services in Bermuda that have been highlighted throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, grants are provided for counseling services that support our children in-house and privately for child sex offenders, and child victims of sex abuse. Grant allocations have been put aside for transitional living and the National Senior Strategy. Community and service providers have witnessed the increasing demand for mental health services, affordable or otherwise. Bereavement, isolation, job losses, and fear are triggering mental health conditions or are exacerbating existing ones. Heightened use of alcohol and drug use, insomnia, and anxiety have raised the risk of jeopardizing the health and well-being of many in our community. The Ministry of Social Development and Seniors has set aside funds in this budget to address the lack of framework for providing community mental health to both children and adults. The ministry will partner with the public and private sectors to progress the creation of a model that will provide community mental health support and intervention schemes. Support to our families is also sorely needed. Recent presentations provided in our virtual ministry town hall meetings underscore the need for increased support to families, especially parents. At these meetings with the forefront-facing staff, it was made clear that support was needed to parents of children in care and children who are not in care. The staff at the Department of Child and Family Services have reported a significant increase in the neglect of children in their work. Further, parents through surveys have reported the need for assistance in the ability to cope and parent. To this end, the ministry will embark on a parenting campaign that aims to bring attention to the need to support parents in raising confident and successful children. Evidence tells us that love comes naturally, but successful parenting is learned. A transformative public education and awareness campaign that highlights successful parenting outcomes will undoubtedly go a long way to impact the psychosocial fabric of our society. The Ministry of Social Development and Seniors encourages a more inclusive society by ensuring persons with disabilities are acknowledged and respected to promote goodwill among all people in Bermuda. Promoting disability-inclusive social systems such as the establishment of a disability register will go a long way to reduce inequity and inequality among some of our most valuable and vulnerable citizens. A disability register is a fundamental tool that can ensure increased accessibility for all. The Litigation Guardian Program has witnessed much success this year. A training program has been developed, and now we have trained the 5 current litigation guardians, 12 potential litigation guardians, and over 25 members of DCFS staff, members of the Family Court Panel, magistrates, and lawyers. A successful training session was held in February of 2022, and a new steering committee is being established to ensure the establishment of a scheme that will uphold the tenets of best practices for our children. While our budget for 2022-2023 may be limited, all departments within the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors have been actively working to ensure that we addressed our key areas of service while remaining aligned with austerity measures as laid out in this government's economic recovery plan. Thank you.
Now I invite questions. Mr. Connolly, did you have any questions at all?
Mr. Peets, so it's down 0.5%, that's about $75,000, is it?
You're about subject.
Yeah, where exactly is that actually going to fall, on which programs and grants, etc.?
Well, of course, in any given year, needs usually exceed resources. So we have to really be focused and flexible. Fortunately, of course, we've been very, very diligent during this COVID pandemic on where we could allocate funds and how we can allocate those funds. So going forward, I can assure you that despite the slight decrease between this current budget and our original budget for last year, all of our core services still will be provided for. If we have to trim the fat somewhere, we'll find a way to trim the fat.
You don't know where you're going to cut yet?
As it relates to what we can confirm today, yes, I can promise you that we have allocated funds for NSGBs, for example. We have also increased our grant funding for our junior sports awards. So some of those core services definitely will not see any decrease.
Well, with due respect, you haven't answered the question. I asked exactly where the actions fall, if you know where it's going to fall.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, what we will have to do is take some of the lessons that we've learned from the pandemic and just try to remain focused on what our core services are and be as flexible as possible. The easiest way to find places to cut, of course, is to look for stuff perhaps like within the ministry headquarters, for example, to find these additional cost savings.
You're talking about finding places to cut, and I mean, do you have any details? There've been budgets.
Well,
your budget's been cut. You don't know what programs are going to be cut.
Well, what we can say is none of the programs are going to be cut as it relates to them not actually being funded. So we have spent considerable time ensuring that our core programming and our core services, particularly for culture and for sport, are being funded in a way in which are keeping with our Throne Speech initiatives. This pandemic, of course, has been quite difficult, but we have learned some things on how to be nimble and how to be flexible. So I'm confident that between myself and, of course, our heads of departments and our PS, we'll be able to accomplish everything that we have set out initially for this budget year to accomplish. And if we have to be creative in how we spend our monies to ensure that we're having the necessary impact, I can promise you those things will happen.
Sorry, do you know where the $75,000 cut is going to come from?
Well, it comes out of the budget. So if you're asking which line item that will be cut, then I can't speak to that type of specificity at the moment.
Do you not think you should be aware of these details, after a budget?
Yeah, the details in which I'm aware of are the details that are necessary to be aware of, and that is how we're going to spend the money going forward, and I can speak to great detail on that.
The Finance Minister, also the Premier, Mr. Burt, he refused to give details in the budget of where the cuts would be. Again, when I spoke to him on Tuesday in a press conference, he refused to give details. He said he was leaving it to his ministers because he didn't want to, quote, steal their thunder. Do you think that's leadership, or is that just hiding behind individual ministers so you take the flak for the cuts?
There's no one here taking any flat for any cuts. Cuts, of course, are part of the whole process going forward. As I mentioned in one of my previous comments, there are events that we're planning or have planned, for example, during the last year, for example, that didn't happen. When those events do not happen because of either weather or COVID or whatever the case may be, then those events actually don't occur. And then those funds actually get an opportunity to be redirected. So those are the things that have really, really helped us in our ministry as we've approached this fiscal planning.
You don't think the Premier's hiding behind his ministers then?
Oh, he never does.
Okay, were you at the PLP Founders Day event? And if so, when were you informed that the Premier had COVID?
I was not at the Founders Day event. I was actually at another event on that particular weekend.
Okay, thanks a lot. Mr. Furbert, if I can ask you, you've got a slight increase, but it's minimal, and given inflation, it's a decrease. So will there be any areas that you will have to cut back on?
So no, we will not be cutting back on areas. We have done a reallocation of our budget to be able to provide for more of the helping agencies in the third sector.
You mentioned a lot in your speech about sexual abuse of children.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that situation is getting worse now here, or is it just because people are more confident to come forward to discuss it?
Our statistics are maintained. What we are seeing is an increase of reporting in child neglect, through our family preservation area, but our child abuse statistics are maintained to the same level.
Right. Okay. Were you at the Founders Day event?
Yes, I was at the Founders
when were
Day
you
event.
informed that the Premier had COVID?
We were informed the next day, actually. Yeah.
The next day?
Yes.
Do you not think you should have been informed sooner than that?
I can't speak to that. I don't know what the reporting structure was. So.
But you must have your own opinions.
No, I believe things were handled accordingly to how they should have been handled, and I think they were handled appropriately.
Okay. Finally, do you think the Premier is hiding behind his ministers by refusing to announce the cuts himself and leaving it to them?
No, we are all responsible for knowing and maintaining a budget for our own ministry. So no, I do not think he's hiding behind that information.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, members of the meeting.
Ms. Conley, actually, I have an answer. Actually, looking at through the notes, that $75,000 actually is cuts due to grants as relates to FTEs within the department.
Excuse me, FTEs?
Full-time employment.
Oh, all right, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, members of the media.
Thank you.